I'm not sure where their colleges are and where they leave, but
Very, very pleased to bring Ambassador to our state president and general manager, Connie Green, and all of my colleagues at CBS 2. I am very, very honored to serve as master of ceremonies for today's ribbon cutting. Vinnie, from the first time I met you at that workshop in Long Island City, I knew your talent was a mighty gift. Your vision for this project was nothing short of magnificent, and your drive to bring it to completion was indomitable. I want to thank you for asking me to play a role in today's ceremony. I've been around the Westchester County arts scene for more than 20 years. I don't think I've ever been more excited about a public art project than what we are here to celebrate today. Vinnie Bagwell's Enslaved Africans Rain Garden. Just take a look at those statues. Brilliant in their design, this is skillful in its creation, and it's profound in its impact, humanizing those who suffered from the inhumanity of a not-so-distant age. They have names, they have stories. Isati, a majestic Liberian woman, dignified and graceful despite being enslaved. Temba the boatman, equipped with valuable skills and a desire to help those seeking freedom. Shola and Olumide, childhood companions with fading memories of their homelands. And Phoebe the Elder, pausing during her labors to reflect and pray. All of these figures richly detailed and profoundly moving, realized by the talented hands of Yonkers' own Vinnie Bagwell. Vinnie's passion for the project was fueled in part by her desire to create another destination here on the beautiful Yonkers, New York waterfront. These figures of enslaved Africans stand on land that was once part of a slave-holding estate. This waterfront, now open to the public, which increasingly appreciates the city's effort to reclaim public access to the Hudson River. Today we cut the ribbon on a place that will touch our hearts, challenge our minds, invigorate our community, generate civic dialogue, and tell a story that needs to be told. To set the tone for today's ceremony, I invite to the microphone international gospel star Susu to perform Heal the World, accompanied by Anthony Evans.
There's a place in your heart, and I know that it is love. In this place, it was brighter than tomorrow. If you try, you will find that there's no need for you to cry. 'Cause in this place, you feel there's no hurt or sorrow. There are ways to get there if you care enough for the living. Make a little space, make a better place, heal the world, make it a better place. You and for me and the entire human race. There are people dying. If you care enough for the living, make a better place for you and for me. If you want to know why, there's a love that cannot lie. Love is strong, it only cares of joy forgiving. If we try, we shall see. In this bliss we cannot feel. you're caring enough for the living, make a better place for you and for me. How you do well, make it a better place. You in time and grace, evil night, caring enough for the living, make a better place. You have healed the world, make it a better place. You have for me and the time and grace. There are people dying. If they care enough for the living, make a better place. You ain't there are people dying. But if you care enough, make a better world for me. Oh, we need you.
Such a beautiful song and so beautifully sung. Thank you, Susu. And such an appropriate song. We can't heal the world for a better future if we don't deal with the painful history that got us to where we are today. And that's really what this rain garden is all about. So when I first did a story with Vinnie a couple of years ago, we met in Queens, we came to Yonkers, and he said, Tony, you are not doing this story without talking to the mayor of the city of Yonkers, Mike Smith. Mike has been a big supporter of Vinnie's work and of this project. The city has stepped up time and time again with finances, with help, and with really countless hours by city employees from so many different departments in the city of Yonkers who have worked and put in the time and made a contribution to get us to where we are today. Ladies and gentlemen, the mayor of the city of Yonkers, Michael Smith.
Thank you so much, and it's great to see everyone here today. It really is. When we showed up, I'd say just a little housekeeping. Tony, we love you here, and thank you because you've been covering this, the progress of this story for a while now, and we very much appreciate that. Except the city's first lady sends her greetings. She's also one of his colleagues, so she's gonna be mad when I tell her you didn't mention her. Plus, she would never be mad at Tony. She loves Tony. So do I. And Senate Majority Leader and your two cousins, to our County Executive George Latimer, who's here. Our Council President, who's here as well, and members of the City Council. That's right. Wow, there have been a lot of announcements and a lot of ribbon cuttings. Times have been called the ribbon cutting mayor. I don't know if that's why that's a bad thing. Somebody used that against me in the campaign. I guess it could be a ribbon cutting mayor versus a non-ribbon cutting mayor, right? But this is a monumental occasion for our city. Today is the opportunity for all of us to acknowledge who we are here in Yonkers and to recognize our place in history. In Yonkers, we continue to tell the story. We continue to tell our story through the beauty and the expression of art. And in particular, we've embraced public art as a medium to share our message of diversity, acceptance, love, and life. Enslaved Africans Rain Garden joins our growing list, but this one's different. This exhibit, actually 13 years in the making. Through 2 mayors, I think 3 or 4 city councils, through 13 years in the making, through art and landscape, tells the story of our earliest Yonkers residents. Residents who proved through their resilience, fortitude, and strength despite their challenges. They tell the story of pain and suffering, but also one of pride and perseverance. Thanks to the collaborative work of our private sector, public sector, many different levels of government, all of us, we are finally telling the story. The story of enslaved Africans who were torn from their homelands. We settled here in the colonies and were forced to work as free labor in something that we as Americans must face and learn from. Sculptor, my friend Vinnie Bagwell, beautifully gives us an intimate look into the faces and the lives of what our first residents were like, what they endured, what they have overcome, what they continue to have to overcome. She personifies their journey in every detail of the artwork that you will get to see. And as your mayor, I am privileged and I am honored that Vinnie is sharing her artwork with us, making sure that we must remember and share it with future generations. We can't expect to move forward as a community, as a city, as a nation, without acknowledging our past and learning from it. It wasn't that long ago that the city of Yonkers was in the midst of a desegregation order. I didn't know what it meant when there were police officers in riot gear outside my grammar school. There was a reason for that. There was a lot happening, and it wasn't that long ago. Think about it. Desegregation, the only city to actually have forced desegregation of its neighborhoods and its schools. But in our country, we stand at the crossroads of understanding and denial, acceptance and anger. And the choice is ours. It's in each and every one of us. It's on ours. It's our responsibility as to what direction we can go to from there. I had to brag about Yonkers because when you look at this crowd, yes, you think of our history. It's been, some good, some bad, some something to be proud of, some something we're not. But you look at this, you look at us today, and I look at the crowd, and I see Pat McDowell, right? Pat McDowell is constantly with this project, he had this idea, and we need to fund it. And then working with Pat, and like I said, it started with Mayor Amconi before me, where they put the first $50,000 into a study. And then it came to me, and members of the city council, Chuck Leslie, who was the former council president here. And Chuck's father, Mr. Lesnick, did some free work, right, for the organization. But the members of the city council that were here, those who are community leaders, all of us, when we decided as a city that we were going to do this, and through 2 mayors, through 3 city councils, we all were committed to making this happen. And whether it was going to happen alongside the manor, which was the first spot, and then we were able to achieve this part. And it wasn't easy because we had to negotiate this with the developers, and we had to make sure that we kept this as parkland. We had to make sure that we had the Parks Department a part of this. All of us working together with one goal, was to make sure that this garden happened, and it happened while we were here. So it's our obligation. So I encourage residents, visitors to frequent this park multiple times. Take a look at the beauty of this waterfront. Because you imagine our earliest settlers, when they got here, it was this beautiful as it is today. take in the beauty, examine the details of those wonderful sculptures. Come here multiple times because you know what I've noticed, and each and every time, Vinnie, I've looked at these sculptures, I've seen something a little different. I learned something a little more. I have a greater understanding. And each and every one of you can too. You know, I see Chris Johnson too. I don't want to like mess around and start mentioning names, but Chris helped us out. That's so funny as well. Thank you, Chris. You know, it is our obligation. It's our obligation now. On behalf of each and every one of us. It's our obligation to evolve. It's our obligation to educate. And it's our obligation, each and every one of us, to take part in making sure that every single little boy and girl, or any person here in America, can achieve that American dream. That's what our obligations are today. I'm so confident. Let today be the start of a new chapter in our history, one that makes us stand tall and proud. And you know that expression that it takes a village, we all know that this project was no different. And I want to thank all that supported us. The planning department for all their countless hours, thousands of hours over the past 13 years. Let's give them a nice round of applause. Obviously the star of today, Vinnie Bagwell and the Enslaved Africans Rain Garden Board, thank you for all that you did, your vision, your commitment. To communities like Arts, Westchester, Janet, thank you. Thank you. And then again, to other groups like the IDA, our legal department, our parks department, the city council. Never could have been done without them. With our state delegation, led by Andrew Stewart Cousins, Gary Pretlow, Vader Sage, I think might be here, I'm sure he's here, and of course Shelley Mayer. We all knew this was important. We knew it had to be done. We knew we were making a statement. Guys, not many people have done this. Not many communities have done this. And that's sad. But maybe we're going to start a trend. Maybe Yonkers is going to lead the world and lead the nation. What is important? Important to all of us. Remember our history. Learn from our history. And make good. It's nice to see you. God bless you.
13 years from idea to completion. I can only imagine what's in your heart and in your mind today, Vinnie. Every year, Vinnie Bagwell's national and even international reputation grows. Yonkers is going to be so proud to have the Enslaved Africans Rain Garden here on the waterfront in Yonkers, New York, because 10 years from now, 15 years from now, Vinnie's name is going to be a household name in households that appreciate public work. Ladies and gentlemen, the woman of the hour, Vinnie Bagwell.
Thank you all for coming. So glad to see you here. This is what is known as a passion project. In 2009, Tricia McDowell challenged me to create an initiative of art about the slaves. And the first thing that I learned is that we don't call them the slaves. We call them enslaved. Enslaved. Okay, so 13 years is 4,856 days. It's kind of like motherhood, you know? So when everybody else is gone, it's on you. At any rate, looking around this community, I'm I know this community. I was born here. I grew up in Greenberg, but I moved out to Yonkers when I was straight out of college. So I lived here for a really long time. And I discovered a really rich history here. I mean, because the first question is, why should everybody care about enslaved Africans here? And so it was a joy, to use my aesthetic to create and map a sense of place, particularly before revitalization and gentrification, because we want to preserve the history. And so the effort of creating public art is not a solitary adventure. So, of course, the most successful public art projects involve both the artist and the community. And so at the onset of this project, it was important for us to have a shared feeling of ownership about this project. So immediately I brought in the community, and the first person I went to was Janet Langston. And those were Janet. Janet is the CEO of Arts Westchester, which of course is our county's Arts Council, and also one of the largest arts councils in New York. And Janet, of course, became an advisor and a fiscal administrator, and now she's my girl. At any rate, in that process, she also became what I consider to be a godmother to this project. Again, I'm mommy, she's godmommy. And so together we created the inaugural exhibition to bring you the concept. It was very well received. And so, what was really important for you to know is that carefully conceived public art environments, rich with the connections to our local history, help make places have more meaning to the community. And so, one of the first things I did was I went to one of the best people in the world I know. That would be Bryce Turner. Bryce Turner is the CEO of BCT Design Group out of Baltimore, Maryland. They're responsible for interpreting the architectural landscaping of the Rain Garden project. Dan Dunstan. Dan, where are you? Hey, Dan! Dan is my guy. He designed of my architectural landscape. So he is what I call my reading glasses. He takes my vision and helps me to see further. And so Dan always asks me, well, what are you going for? And I'm like, wow. I want wow, 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 wow. And so needless to say, when I presented to the city of Yonkers, they said wow, but then they kind of cringed because they thought it was kind of fancy. And I'm like, look, nothing too fancy for the slaves. So anyway, luckily, they took a shot and we moved on. And so I want to thank, while we're at it, Jarrett Moran of Bowman Incorporated. These are the architects who actually were responsible for overseeing the construction. And of course, TJR construction firm who actually built the Rain Garden. We have to give them kudos for what you actually see today in addition to the artwork. In-studio workshops, one of the important things that I wanted to do, and I did this with the Ella Fitzgerald project as well. Sculpture is not part of the curriculum I haven't seen it yet in any public schools. And so I like the idea of introducing art students to a medium that they don't have exposure to, because I didn't learn about how to sculpt until I was 36 years old. And I think to myself, what would I have been like if I had learned when I was 12 or 18 or 21? And so the idea was, I tried to expose them to the medium as an entrepreneurial approach. It's a job. It's not extracurricular for me, it's a job. And so the idea was to turn passion into making art into a pathway to a thriving occupation. People think of artists as, this is our side job and we have day jobs. Well, creating public art is my day job. And so at any rate, Enslaved Africans Rain Garden Initiative served as a model for other communities. What we've done here, we feel that everybody can do in their hometown. And again, we are exemplifying the ability to unite a community by fostering community participation in the process of creating art for public places. We also illustrated how asset partners, as I like to call them, outside of the arts and traditional community can advocate and network to help support projects like this. So this was a very unusual project that we worked on. Celebrating Juneteenth and history today, we could see ourselves in each other's stories and think about how far we've come as a country and how much further we have to go to erase racism and discrimination from our society. We have to continue to focus on that. You can tell by the kinds of things that you see in the news that this is going to be an ongoing struggle. The purpose of public art here is to promote community bonding and to build a path to constructive civic participation. The beauty of art in public places is accessibility. This is open all the time. People can come here any time of the day or the night, and they can learn something about this place, the people who lived here, the people who made this place possible. And so one of the things I want to make you mindful of is that we cannot allow vandalism. We cannot allow vandalism. Not just for this project, we just cannot allow vandalism. If you live here or wherever you live, as we say in New York City, you see something, you say something. You see something, you say something. You see something, you say something. Defacing art is hateful, and we must unlearn hate. I'd like to thank the opportunity to take this opportunity to express my appreciation to my team, Trisha McDowell, Chuck Lesnick and Irving Lesnick, my legal counselors, Connie Fowler, my support system, the late Michelle Davis, Timothy James and Craig Bailey, my editors, Dorinda Bagwell, Angelucci, my right hand and media manager, Stormy Perez and Charlotte Vincent, our special events manager, and Leonard X, my drummer, who's a principal. Schools out of school today. My photographers, Jonathan Lewis and Leslie Chambard, Craig Bailey and Rod Taylor, Grace Roselli and Donna Davis. Michael Pila, the Enslaved Africans Rain Garden website.org. Thank you to spoken word artist Ty Grayell. This is a man who gave the previously unheard a voice. He has a neurological thing going on his back, so he wasn't able to come here today. But he helped me to give them a voice to humanize them. You know, people want to know, why do we care about the slaves? Because they were human beings, and they were dehumanized, and we want to restore their humanity. We want to recognize them. And so I also want to express my deepest gratitude to my daughter, Pierre, for creating 5 spectacular video shorts giving life to Bibi, Isati, Temba the Boatman, Shola, and Olumide. You can find those stories on the Enslaved Africans Rain Garden website as well as my YouTube page. You know, I asked Ty when he first came to me, I said, tell me who these people were. Who were they before they were enslaved? How did they get captured? What happened on the way here? And then what happened when they got here? Made people understand how their lives were stolen and how they had to continue to live. And so I think they did a spectacular job. Ty gave them a voice, and Pierre gave them visual presence and helped you to believe. Thank you to the other godparents of this project, Senator Majority Leader Andrea Stewart Cousins, Senator Shelley Myers, Simmer Brandon, Seminary Gary Putlow, Ken Jenkins is a godparent, Christopher Johnson is a godparent. We got a bunch of godparents. I'm going to tell you, 13 years of mommy get tired. All right, so kudos to our first investors, Ken Theobalds of Entergy. People have jobs. Some people seriously do their jobs. I want to thank Eric Wolf and his partners, Alan Locke and Ken Dearden of Metro Partners, John Banks of Con Edison, Patricia Mulqueen, of course, City of Yonkers, there's Mayor Mike Spano, Mayor Phil Anaconi, so meeting us in the middle. You know, at the beginning, they were a little scared. They're like, "You want us to pay for it?" I'm like, "Half? Can you meet me in the middle? Half?" And so, of course, they said yes, but they, you know, of course, I had to raise the money first, but they did do at least half. So, thank you. Again, thank you to Christopher Johnson, who kind of came up through the ranks, city council, county legislator. You know, again, it helps that these people come from Yonkers, they understand this place, and as they moved up in politics, they helped me. Thank you, Lou Albano, Commissioner of Yonkers Planning and Development, he's my new guy. I also want to thank the previous commissioners, Laura Wilson Kimball, Shannon Everts, and Lou Kervin. Didn't forget you guys. Thank you, Mario Caruso, Sunday Tamil. Thank you, Donia Lee, who's in charge of my checks. Thank you for the mayor's staff for today's event, in particular, Christina L. Martin and Joanna DeParno. My deepest gratitude to the Honorable George Latimer of the County of Westchester. Thank you for being on the right side of history. It was a no-brainer for him. He said, "I'm in." Thank you. I waited for you. New York State Council on the Arts, New York State Office of Parks, Recreation, and Historic Preservation, New York State Governor Andrew Cuomo. Foresight and support of the arts and the artist community. Thank you to the Yonkers African American Heritage Committee, Westchester for being fiscal administrators, for 501c3. Kudos to the rest of my board members, you, Lamont Blackwell, Floyd Myers, and Judith Swartstein. Grateful to my father, Vinnie Bagwell, for being a bridge being here today. Thank you to my mother, Viola, for being a witness. My heartfelt appreciation to the members of the community at large, my social media people. I want to thank everyone who came to greet me at each of my public forums to express the value of my work. Finally, I want to thank God for the gift and enabling me to serve His will and humanity in this way. If our people didn't have anything to which we could look back upon, the wisdom and acts of our forefathers would be forgotten. And the experience of a generation would be lost to succeeding generations. Art is a cultural record of growth and development. From generation to generation, there's art in every culture in the world. It defines who we are as a people, and it provides an account of our history for the next generation. And thank you for being here today.
names have been name checked, but I'm going to run through the list real quick because I know Vinnie is tremendously grateful for your presence here today and your support of this project. Our Council President, Lakeisha Collins Bellamy, is here. The Majority Leader, Tasha Diaz, and our Minority Leader, Mike Green. Shanae Williams from the Council is here, along with John Rubo as well. Governor Hochul sent Edgar Santana from her office to represent. State Senator Shelley Mayer is here. Assemblyman Gary Pretlow is here. Our County Executive, George Latimer. Our Deputy County Executive, Ken Jenkins. County Legislator James Nolan. County Legislator Christopher Johnson, must have popped out, he's over there. Yonkers is replete with movers, shakers, and history makers, and someone who embodies all three is going to come to the microphone next. She needs no introduction, ladies and gentlemen, our Senate Majority Leader, Andrea Stewart-Cousins.
Great day. Great day to be in Yonkers. And Vinnie, I don't know, I mean, see, Vinnie said it's a job, and it clearly is, but you know, it's so much more. I really am happy to be here with the county executive, my friend George Latimer, and of course Mayor Mike. Thank you so much for, being somebody who, along with three councils and certainly this council, supported the endeavor to not only bring great public art, but to tell the story. And so thank you to Lakeisha and Tasha and all my city council people, and of course my colleagues in government, Shelley Mayer and Gary Pretlow, Nader. On the county level, Chris and I guess Jose Alvarado, all these, I could name check everybody. But, KJ, also known as Ken Jenkins. We all have these nicknames. For Vinnie and I, I'm Honey Bunny. It's gone on for a while. Pat, it is so good to see you. And thank you for being Pat McDowell. Godmother of this project. And thank you, Vinnie, for staying here. People could get successful and they go away, and you maybe get a postcard from the edge, but you stayed and you allowed us to watch you, as you said today, live long enough to change the world. I guess that's what we all really do. Everybody lives long enough to do their part and to not waste any moment is so very, very important. The mayor talked a little about history, and people know me because I've been around long enough to know a lot of things, a few things, and some things that, people don't want to know. And I'm old enough to be able to say it. So, but he was talking about those days of desegregation, and that's why I came into government. I moved to Yonkers. I thought it was, a regular place with trees. Close enough to the city, but And the next thing I know, here we are in the 80s. See the council president, the former council president, here we were finding out that there's a desegregation lawsuit against this city. Ken, you were in the NAACP at the time. And all of a sudden, what I thought was this idyllic place became a hotbed of really controversy, fear, and what were we going to do? And in working with the NAACP and the various, again, movers and shakers at that time, Yonkers, yes, did desegregate. And you said, Mayor, it was a forced desegregation, but it was only forced because people resisted. Okay, other people said, okay. Now Yonkers said, take me to court. I'll pay $1 million a day. I'll do whatever it takes. That's what happened. So we found ourselves fighting for our babies not to be terrorized in schools when we had to desegregate. And when I did that with my good friend Simmer Brandon, former councilwoman, I got pulled into the administration because they wanted somebody who could sort of, placate, inform, educate, bring people to the table. And one of the first fights I had was to help to save Phillips Manor Hall, which was on the chopping block. Phillips Manor Hall, because it was in a neighborhood that was as they say, underserved, under-resourced, a place that was just sort of a house that was kind of falling down, that nobody knew anything about the Phillipses and why we should care. And my first introduction when I went into that house was just to talk about how rich the Phillipses were. And they also have, Phillipsburg Manor up in Tarrytown and all of the wonderful things about the Phillipses. And then when we took a tour, they took me to the servants' quarters. The servants' quarters. Not the enslaved Africans' quarters, the servants' quarters. That's what we're talking about today on Juneteenth. As we celebrate this, as we celebrate the work of this great artist, we are talking about knowing what it is that we are standing on the shoulders of. Not to be ashamed, not to be upset, to be informed. So that not only we don't repeat this, but we are working from a basis that allows us to embrace one another and embrace our shared humanity, because this can never happen again. And so, here we are, unveiling figures, knowing that it's going to be public art. Thank you, Janet, because we love to support Arts Westchester, and Arts Westchester always supports art and artwork like this. On the state level, we do it. County, city, we do it. And every once in a while, besides uplifting and creating community, we educate and create a sense not only of place, but a sense of responsibility. Thank you for telling our story, Vinnie. Thank you for being here.
We want to say thank you to Westchester County Legislator David Tubiolo, and also, I have it listed here, Yonkers City Councilman Anthony Morante, also here today. Thank you, gentlemen, for joining us. Yonkers, New York, #1 on the Westchester County population chart, maybe #2 in the heart of our county executive, just barely below Mount Vernon, right? Folks, George Latimer.
As I'm sitting listening to Andrea, and I'm looking out across the water, you see things that appear to you to be eternal. You see the Palisades, the stones of the Palisades. You see all of the foliage, the mature trees that have been there for hundreds of years. You see the water that dates back, I suppose, to the Ice Age, how many thousands of years ago that was. And I imagine that 200 years ago, without benefit of these beautiful apartment buildings, without benefit of the dock, without benefit of the train, and the things that we are accustomed to, the automobiles out here, there were men and women that saw the same scene that we see right now, the exact same scene. And if I were alive in that day, and I were African American, be down at that waterfall, I would be down at that waterfront under the threat of physical violence to help unleash. The schooner would be here with provisions for the residents. My job, enslaved our Africans, would be to unload that ship. In this hot sun, no benefit of tent, no bottled water handed to me, which I appreciate. And that would be the whole life that I would have from birth to death. If I had the opportunity to father a child, that child would not be mine. That child would belong to somebody else. To raise, to make them too a worker as I am, with no compensation, no day off, no respect for my life, the love that I might have for a woman. That would be irrelevant. My job, beginning to the end of my life, was to give labor so that other people could taste the benefit of that labor.
Sure.
And when I was a young boy in Mount Vernon, I did not realize that the Civil War, which was fought to end slavery, was only 40 years after New York State ended slavery in 1827. And when the state legislature, Andre and I and Shelley and those of us, Gary Crumb, who served in the state legislature, that very state legislature said, we're going to end slavery, and we set a date 10 years to the future to end slavery. That's a bold, progressive statement. We'll do this, we'll do the right thing, and in 10 years we'll do this. So I know, because I am a person of faith, and I do believe that souls continue on, that those souls who gave labor, no benefit to that labor, understand what has happened today. And it took a long time to get to this day. When an African-American woman, by her skill, could create something to evoke their life, and that their life didn't disappear the day they died, and were buried in an unmarked grave in an African-American cemetery, of which there are those in Westchester County. That those people are remembered because Vinnie Bagwell's art remembers them. And the fact that it took 13 years was the persistence of Vinnie and all of those godfathers to get all of these resources together. Ken Jenkins and I have been in our current responsibilities for about 5 years. There wasn't always that support before we got in, but that support exists now for from Westchester County, as it does from the city, as it does from other levels of government. But the real support is the moral support of each of you that says this is a statement that must be made, so that in a few minutes, when I leave here, and I have to leave early, I'm scheduled to be at my old junior high school. It's now called Denzel Washington. It was once called Washington Junior High School for George Washington. But growing up in Mount Vernon, when I did, I knew Denzel Washington. Denzel Washington was a friend of mine. And at that school, there would be 8th graders graduating the same way I did back in 1966. And those young African-American people need to see the statues. They need to know what happened here then and what's happened here now, so that they go forward with pride and they go forward with purpose because of the sacrifice that's been made by the people that are encompassed in the statues and by the people of today's African American community and how hard they have struggled to create success, which Vinnie Bagwell has so wonderfully captured. And Vinnie, we're honored to be allies. We're honored to stand behind you, and we're honored to stand behind the other African American leaders that we have here, to be able to say these are universal things. The African American experience now has the support of white Americans and Latino Americans and Asian Americans, as do we support the freedom of Latin Americans and Asian Americans. It's the we in Westchester, all of us. And you put that in a way that those kids in 8th grade see it and they will understand it because of your ability to take a vision and make it real. God bless you.
Thank you, Mr. Latimer. Ladies and gentlemen, here to sing the song Faith once more, international gospel star Susu, accompanied by Anthony Evans.
It's a privilege and an honor to be here on this lovely day. with the gifted, anointed hands. I pray God's blessings over your life and your endeavors. I'm here today to give tribute to my ancestors and descendants. Why? Because I'm proud of them. They fought a good fight. And they had faith that can conquer anything. I have the faith that sees the invisible, expects the incredible, receive the impossible. Faith that can conquer faith that uproots my problems. Faith to know God can solve them. Faith to vision my freedom. I have the faith that can conquer anything. Faith to reach the unreachable. The unbeatable faith to remove the unmovable
City Council President Lakeisha Collins Bellamy.
I am emotional, but
Thank God is the first thing that comes to mind after hearing that. First, I want to thank our mayor, Mike Spano, county executive, George Latimer, who just had to leave us, and our state delegation for supporting and funding this project. I have to acknowledge the magnificent Miss Vinnie Bagwell, the artiste. My predecessor, former City Council President Chuck Lesnick, and my beautiful soror, Patricia McDowell, to whom I am forever indebted for giving me my first job in government. I don't know if that's a thank you or what did you do. But I must say that I became emotional as I sat down here today. I became overwhelmed because I felt the presence of my ancestors. I was reminded of their determination, their perseverance, and their courage. And that moment was not lost on me as one of 4 Black women sitting on the Yonkers City Council. As I stand here before you today, it's a reminder that I'm standing on the shoulders of giants. Many have come before me to pave the way that led me here today. Many unknown ancestors fought, cried, bled, and laid down their lives so that I could stand here today. Today we honor the memories of enslaved Africans whose stories is often hidden, forgotten, and overlooked. And how fitting is this celebration now that we are days away from celebrating Juneteenth. Sitting here today made me think of my grandparents and my great-grandparents who came here to Yonkers looking for a dream in the 1960s. Some not able to read, never having had formal education. And I stand here fulfilling those dreams. And just feeling the presence of the ancestors here in this moment was overwhelming. So I thank you, Ms. Vinnie, because you captured that moment. So as I walk through these gardens, I will remember my ancestors who were here and had the courage to live on so that I could be here today. Thank you.
So how am I doing as MC? Well, the reason I ask is because my very first MC gig in Westchester County was about 25 years ago, and the person who asked me to MC a little luncheon, which I later found out was 250 people, is our next speaker. No one has done more to bring people to the arts or arts to the people in Westchester County over many, many years. Ladies and gentlemen, the CEO of Arts Westchester, Janet Lankson.
Came to Westchester, one of the things that I was totally amazed about, that there was no tribute anywhere in this county to African Americans. There was no place. And I thank Vinnie Bagwell for making that come true. Vinnie and I are cut from a similar cloth. I'm a kid from Far Rockaway. She's a kid from Yonkers. And imagine it took just a kid from Yonkers, a kid who grew up here and who loved this place, to come up with the idea of creating a memorial that would be a place where people from all over the world could come and pay their respects to the contributions that were made by African Americans. This project is about dignity. It's about dignity that Vinnie wanted to bring to her people, and I think she did. But I'd like to say something else about the arts. This couldn't happen without the arts. Sometimes I have great anxiety about supporting arts, supporting artists, and people look at it and say, well, what does it all mean? Is it a frill? It's not a frill. it is a way that we record and remember the past, and we seek the aspiration of the future. We cannot do that without the arts, so thank you.
So many people in this audience have given so much of themselves over the years to make Yonkers a great place to live, work, raise a family, start a business. High on the list of people who have given blood, sweat, and tears over many years and done it with style, Patricia McDowell.
Wow. I cannot believe this day is finally here. First, before I start, I would like to call upon the former council president, Chuck Leslie, to join me on the stage. Commissioner of Human Rights, Connie Fowler, please join me on the stage. Our former TIF advisor for the city of Yonkers, LeBron Blackstone. Michael Taylor, who is the web developer for many of the projects down here in the downtown area. This is our village. Endless hours on the phone and in person. We've met for years working on this project. Please give this board a quick round of applause. And we cannot forget Chuck Leslie's father. He represented us. He fought every good fight that we had to face. Thank you for all that you have done and continue to do, because we're not done yet. It seems like yesterday when I called upon Vinnie with my idea of paying tribute to the enslaved Africans who once lived and worked in the city of Yonkers. In searching for an artist, Vinnie was the obvious choice. She had recently completed Ella, and she was a Yonkers resident. 13 years later, here we are today. Chuck and I can contest that as an elected official, it is our obligation to enrich the community in which they serve. I envision the enslaved African rain garden will bring economic growth not only to the city of Yonkers, but to Westchester and the state of New York as a whole. As a community, I would like you to come back with your family, your friends, and your children, and visit these statues again and again, and then have a conversation. Have the much needed conversation. It was also my vision that with this project that there will be an educational component, and this board will work diligently to make that a reality. One of the things we did not talk about, and one of the features of the statue, is when I spoke with Vinnie, I said I wanted to make sure that those people who were challenged visually and audibly to be able to come by and still appreciate the art. So if you look at the art, you can actually take your hands and feel the boatmen and the boat in which he was, the slave ship in which he traveled. You can see, you can feel the fish that the mother's actually carrying. So really look at all the detail of the sculpture. Just don't look at it as one piece. Look at it very carefully, and then come back and look at it again. Because each time that you come back and look at it, you'll find and learn something different. Our council president said something that was very profound, that looking at these statues and visiting them makes you think of those who have gone before you, make you appreciate those who have sacrificed their life, whether they wanted to or not, to make this a better place for us to live in. Look at us. There's 4 women of color on the city council. This was unheard of several years ago. Simba Brandon, my predecessor, she was the first woman to be this in the city council, the minority woman. Who would have thought today Ken Jenkins, who fought the good fight with the DC, would now be the assistant county exec. Deputy exec, I'm sorry. And I served as the first woman to serve as the majority leader of the Yonkers City Council. I'd like to take this opportunity to thank my family, my friends, and my husband, and the community at large. At this time, I would like to call Vinnie to join me on the stage. Valerie, where's the gift? The gift.
After 13 years, this is the bar mitzvah of the
Vinnie, this is a small token of this board and community appreciation of what you have done for us. Open it up. Designed by Jules by Elon, a Yonkers resident. She has the orange over there with her camera. Yeah, and there's more. Sorry, the purchase stuff. Yeah. No.
No.
It was my suggestion because I've known Vinnie a long time, and I know that Vinnie loves the blue stones. I have given her stones that my mother had given me years ago.
So really quickly, among the numerous luminaries from the world of government as well as the world of culture, I just want to take a quick moment to acknowledge that we are joined here today by the Executive Director of the New York Foundation of the Arts, Michael Royce. Michael, please stand.
I'm back to where we were. When we brought Ella Fitzgerald to the Yonkers waterfront and actually began the renovation of downtown. Arts actually was the incubator, and that was 1995, and it's been a great friendship.
I first saw Vinnie on the roof of 66 Main, working on the maquette for Isate, yeah. And it's like, you know, I've been a designer and art director, a creative director my whole career, so I see somebody doing art, I just have to go over and see what's going on. So I see this beautiful sculpture, it's about this big, and we started talking about the project, and I realized immediately, like the scope and the possible world impact of this out of this little statue. And at that time, I committed myself to doing everything I could to help Vinnie bring her dream to fruition. And I'm really glad to be here with you after all these years. Thank you.
To my right is a poster board that has a QR code. Scan it, share it, and save it, and come back to Enslaved African Rain Garden. And one more thing, save the date, Juneteenth, 2023. More to come.
The last element on our program is a guest appearance by Ty Grael, the author, Ty Grael, the author, storyteller, historian, and spoken word recording artist who's been so supportive of Vinnie's vision, added such context and history to the lives of the 5 figures on the 4 statues, and he appears with us through the magic of recording.
My name is Lightning Gray. And I have lived so many years and been struck by lightning so many times that it might account for why I can recall and remember in almost total the precious lives of my ancestors. What Vinnie Bagwell has done with her sculpting hands, I am able to do with my voice, and that is bring to life the stories of those who made this county and this country as great as it is today. If not for the lives of enslaved Africans, most especially Timber, Bibi, Isati, Shola, and Olumide, this city, this county, this country could never have developed or flourished while achieving the wealth and prosperity that it enjoys today. And so, it is with great pleasure that I remind all within hearing that this enslaved African's rain garden is necessary in the commemoration of those upon whose shoulders we stand. On behalf of those ancestors, both known and unknown, it is with humility of heart and profound gratitude we thank Vinnie Bagwell, the Phillips family, its descendants, the city of Yonkers, the county of Westchester, and the entire Empire State of New York for paying this debt of recognition to those noble souls. We say, Ashe and Asante.
Asante.
All right, we're going to head a little bit south of the tent for the ribbon cutting. You got your scissors ready, Mayor? Thank you all for joining us today. Enjoy your Juneteenth weekend.